All right, welcome back. Appreciate you joining us. Jay Larson, Idaho Technology Council. How are you, sir?
Doing great, James. Doing great.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about your experience here so far at Boise Entrepreneur Week, gearing up to it and execution.
James, I think the biggest part that took place was on Saturday. I was able to help officiate one of the biggest events that takes place as we launch Boise Entrepreneur Week 2023, and it was the dodgeball tournament.
Yeah, and were you on one of those teams?
I was actually not. I was actually able to referee, but in fact, Mark, who was helping here with vinyl, I mean, he was part of this whole. I mean, it was a battle.
So you're padding your pockets then, huh?
Yeah, I was.
How did that fare in the long run?
I only made $2,000, but I'm working on making more at this point.
Yeah, that's still an early event. So
Yeah.
I think coming years will be more fruitful.
It was great. The unfortunately, I didn't make any money off it, but we did have a great deal of fun. And it was a battle between, the finals came down to In Time Tech and Count. Who do you think won?
I don't know, those In Time, Jeet's in pretty good shape.
Yeah,
so.
he is. Unfortunately, he didn't. If he would have come, they probably would have won, but Count came back and they repeated. So they're starting a legacy.
All right. Wow.
In the, legacy of some kind.
I was hoping the upset, but
didn't happen.
Jeet needs to step up.
He needs to come in. You're exactly right. So that was great. But we started that off. But then we just had we started a cyber summit upstairs, and you're part of it on the 6th floor. And we had Steve Bay talk about Andrew Snowden.
Edward.
I said Andrew. Yeah, Edward Snowden. Anyway.
Yeah.
And the Snowden story was amazing, and so that just took place upstairs.
Yeah, really unbelievable. I've heard, I know Steven personally. I've heard him talk to it, but I've never heard the whole story laid out like that. And personally, what it did, to him, knowing that, I mean, hindsight is 2020, right? But
it really is.
Knowing, that I was, partially responsible for this person being here and, getting all this time off to do all of his shady stuff. That's got to be a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, and you sit there and you go, he was trying to help an employee live a better life, and the employee, he didn't realize the employee's motives. But his story was so good because it talked about what course of action he could have taken or what suggestions he would have in future. So that was really good.
Yeah, and as a cyber guy, I was picking apart the little things like, data loss protection and zero trust and all these things. But back in 2013, those were not really industry norms. And I'm also an intelligence guy, so I've worked in similar spaces that I've been like, I can see this happening a million times over, at least when I was in, because a lot of those safeguards weren't there. And, hearing how some of those things led to reforms in security was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was impressed with it. And some of the social side of it that was really taking place, obviously Snowden had an agenda.
Right. And
being able to pull those agendas out from, and to watch for those and to see how things are transformed, because we all have certain things, but we also want to make employees have great places to work. But he was basically lied about all the way through, and he was trying to help a situation with an employee. Anyway.
Yeah, as an intelligence guy, the nature of the adversary is human, and they're going to look for those gaps in those opportunities for compromise. And so even with new safeguards, okay, well, now how do I have to work the system? And so they're always there. So I think that he's gotten to a place that he can live with it at least.
Yeah, you could see that it's been difficult.
So this is that was a great opening. What's on the docket for the rest of the program?
Well, for us, we're going to also on Thursday we have as we work with Boise Entrepreneur Week, we're putting on our 50 to the A showcase. So we're trying to help 50 companies advance to the A round of funding, which is about $5 to $20 million of funding. And generally when a company hits that stage, they have a viable product, they've got all these, they've already moved to a point where revenues are coming in, and they've validated a lot of things. And so when they hit that stage, their chance of success and future opportunity have increased significantly. So we're having that, and we're inducting 2 companies into, or to receive the 8th round of funding over the last couple of months. One of them is Lean Law and Fit. And those are awesome stories. So they're going to be talking about their stories. We're also going to have Goodbye and the founders of Good Boy kind of come, and they're our guest hosts.
Gotcha.
So
that's great.
Come to that, and it'll be awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting too, getting to that stage, because I read an article before I came here about tech startups, about only 10% of them actually get out of prototype, and about 10% of those actually get to solvency, and then 10% of those get subsequent funding. And so you just see so that
it goes down significantly.
And so getting to that, to me, is, I mean, if you can get to your A round, I mean, you've made it, in my mind.
You have, I mean, they always call this the valley of death, or when you hit the rocks and those type of things. And your reference, and that's so good, James, because there are so many reasons why companies fail, right? And why, what we're trying to do is have companies, we've identified 60 companies that are on the runway that are going to get to their Series A. Now, it might be that you don't really want to get to a Series A, because if you don't have to take the funding and dilute or do something like that, that's great. So find different ways to be able to get that, to really get to what might look like a Series A, or to that success that a Series A brings. So that's a big part of what we're doing. And the good thing, a lot about this, because with Shadowscape, you are a startup that's now an early stage company, right? And you won the pitch competition last year.
We did, yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
Let's hear it for Jay. Yeah, please. Where's the audio cap? But I think that as you take a look at this, you could really very much relate to this, because you really look at, we have 3 main pillars of the Idaho Technology Council: trying to grow talent, which you can agree how important talent is for your company. Capital is another big part of helping grow and scale a company. And the next one is getting ideas to market. We call it tech to market.
Right. Yeah, no, we've certainly felt the support from your organization. It's been a huge ally for us. And I wake up every day, and one of the first things I do is jump on LinkedIn and look at all these other startups and people that I've pitched with, and follow them and start to see what's working for them and what's not, because you're never done. And having someone to kind of be in your corner to just, if nothing else, provide opportunities to get your message out there is so absolutely vital.
100% agree. We've done hundreds of events, over the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And the number one thing that people like, why they come to an event or something like this, it's like when the Boise Entrepreneur Week and the cyber track that we just did upstairs, is to hear stories like the one that Stephen Bay just talked about.
Absolutely.
And then the ones you would do is you want to come and you want to learn from how people have done it, and what are the things that I can learn, so I might be able to avoid some pitfalls, or I might accelerate something in a different way. And that's the number one piece of why people come, is because they want to learn from what experiences you've had.
That's right. There's a lot of mistakes to avoid, and I want to make all new ones, not the same ones.
100% agree.
Appreciate you, Jay. Out of time, but we'll be right back. But first, a word from our sponsors.